I think accessibility is, really important, and we have a community engagement, accessibility and learning team that one part of what they do very much is look at the accessibility of the festival as a whole for both performers and for audiences, and put together bits of work that can try and help with the overall accessibility. I guess more generally in terms of the accessibility of the city as a whole and of the festival, one of the challenges of the festival being in Edinburgh is that there's a lot of very old buildings that can be quite physically inaccessible. That said, I think it's really important that all the information we list on our website is clear in terms of that. If a venue can't be accessible, the worst thing you can do is not tell people. So we collect all that information. We have like a venue access award scheme, which kind of incentivizes venues to provide as much information as they can, and also make their venue as accessible as they can. There's lots of projects we do. I mean, it's certainly not perfect, and potentially never will be. It's a huge bit of work to make a festival this scale fully accessible for everyone, but there's lots of bits of work that we do in that area, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but if anyone has any questions about the accessibility side of the Fringe, be that as a performer or as an audience member, then reach out to us, because we have people that know a great deal about all these different parts of it. So there's loads of info we can share and organisations we can link you to.
If you're a performer that has access needs, we try and, on our guide to choosing a venue, we try and have as much information about wheelchair accessible toilets for performers, how much access there is in and around the venue, but also we've said it a lot, but just talk to your venue as early as possible. So if you've got physical access needs, but also if you're neurodiverse, if you need any sort of additional support in that way, the earlier your venue knows about that, the more they can either accommodate or be really honest and transparent about what it's going to be like. It's quite hard to find quiet spaces sometimes around Fringe venues, so I would say it's one of those things that the sooner you can start those conversations, the sooner people can be there to support in any way they can.
The majority of them are in gymnasiums, basketball courts, student rooms, dance studios, shipping containers. And while all of our venues are wheelchair accessible for audiences, that's not necessarily the case, unfortunately, for some of the back of house facilities. But what we have created is a venue access guide on our website. So if you go to pleasance.co.uk/perform, there's an artist access guide, and that basically takes you through every venue that we have and will tell you the accessibility of the back of house. As part of that kind of programming conversation, if you let us know as early as you can, obviously sometimes the cast hasn't fallen into place, all of that sort of stuff, we're happy to have that conversation at any point throughout the kind of programming process. There are many ways that you can do that. You can do that directly with us as programmers in that conversation that we're having around the nuts and bolts of the slot that we're offering, to make sure that is that we're putting you in a space that is suitable. We've tried to make that the specifics of the space as kind of transparent as possible on the website, but we're more than happy to have a more kind of in-depth consideration of that. We collate a lot of information for the Fringe on a website called Eventatron, which is our portal for getting lots of information from you. There is a full accessibility section in that, and when you complete it, that gets emailed to various members of the team, and then they will pick up directly with you over any specifics that you have in the access requirements of your company, to make sure that we're supporting you at every juncture through the process.
I guess in terms of performers putting on accessible work, there's lots of different kinds of accessible work that you can put on. So for example, if you're putting on a relaxed performance, we have loads of guidance on what that means, how you would do that. We speak with various organisations who are much more experts in this stuff than we individually are, and they've helped us for example, on our registration form, when a show is saying they're doing relaxed performance, there's loads of questions that we then ask so we can make sure we've gathered all the information about the content of the show that relaxed performance audiences would want to potentially look at. Obviously, there's other kinds of enhanced performance or accessible performance, like a BSL interpreted show or a live caption show, your audio described show. We try and list all that information, and we're really proactive in getting that from the companies that are hosting performances of that type, and also just making sure that all of our resources around supporting companies provide it as up to date as they can be, so we can really try and encourage companies to put on that kind of work.
Our program within the program of work that is accessible has been growing year on year. We're very glad to say, and that's been through the help of a lot of sort of kind of relationships that we've been forming outside of our organisation to kind of support both ourselves as the venue, but then also the artists coming into our venue in offering those, bringing down the cost, making sure that they're adequately provisioned, and so we've been able to make it much more straightforward for our companies in offering accessible performances. So at a very early point in that programming process, we send out that information about how you can offer an accessible performance as part of your run with us, and how we can kind of support you on that. So the specifics of that are sent to you at the point of programming. So for captioning, we work with someone called Claire Hill. Claire comes up and she will see the shows, prepare the captions, and come into the spaces and caption your show, and we put together that schedule with her. So you literally just have to say, I want to caption my show. We'll let you know the kind of dates that she's available to do that. We'll put together the schedule of that. In terms of the technical resource required to do that, depending on the venue, there is a display option that is available for that venue, and our team will go in and set that up, and then Claire goes in and she sets up her kind of captioning stuff, so you just don't even need to worry about organising that side of it. For BSL, we have a really good relationship with Deaf Action in Edinburgh, so they run a specific deaf festival within the Edinburgh Fringe, and we can refer our companies onto them, and they are able to kind of match up with BSL interpreters. For audio described performances, we have a good relationship with, there is an equalities team at the Fringe that kind of lead on accessibility for the Fringe across the board. The most tricky thing about audio description is getting the units and then also finding the describers. So through them we're able to get those units and find a time when that can work within your run, and then we can also kind of refer you on to organisations such as the Fringe Society or Vocalise, who can then help you sourcing those describers. And then we're also happy to support you in offering a relaxed performance where the normal conventions of a theatre are relaxed, to make people who might find going to the theatre, to a conventional theatre space, quite stressful, where the lights might be dimmed, the harshness in any shifts in sound or lighting are dampened. The audience are available to make noise. They're available to leave, come back as they wish. So we usually provide a questionnaire which allows companies to detail everything that's in their show, and so we get a really good sense of that, and then we might make suggestions as to what they might want to do for a relaxed performance.